Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. You are listening to the Mara Mukonda Show on Salam Media, and we are also live on Facebook. Thank you for joining us once again. And it is time for fitness. On today's fitness segment, we are talking to fitness trainer Leila Tayeb and how to tackle obesity during the lockdown. I know many of us have put on a few kilos. Yes, a few kilos during the lockdown, and hopefully we are trying to work it off. But it's so important to have a good nutrition as well as exercise. So here's our fitness trainer Leila Tayeb to talk more about tackling obesity during the lockdown. Assalamu alaikum, Leila.
Walaikum salam, Mariam. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, good. And yourself?
Can you hear me nicely? I'm just struggling to hear you.
Yes, I can hear you. Is it breaking up, or what was the problem?
It's breaking up. There's quite a bit of breaking in between.
All right, let's see if we can try this again. Maybe refreshing or something.
All right, perfect. Let's do that.
All right, let's see if we can try this again.
Is Salam Media, and you are tuned into the Mariam Makwanda Show.
Okay, I hope it is better now. Leila, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Mariam. How are you keeping?
Alhamdulillah, good on yourself. Is it better now?
Much better. I think the refresh is a good idea.
Okay, alhamdulillah. So during the lockdown, I mean, it is probably now day 60 something, and many of us have agreed that we put on a little bit more kilos. But when it comes to obesity, what should we avoid doing? What should we avoid doing and eating to avoid becoming overweight and obese?
So ideally, the biggest problem, right? And we know the common culprits is sugar, maybe fried food. One of the biggest things that people forget to tell you is just being in a calorie surplus. If you
Mhm.
were to eat, watch how much you're eating. I know over the lockdown period, we were at home, we were eating a little bit more. Once we hit those surpluses every day for 60 odd days, that's where the problem came in.
Mhm. So how do we tackle those surpluses to determine that, okay, this is how much I'm supposed to be eating per day or per hour or whenever it is that I'm eating, especially like for people who are so used to eating perhaps five small meals a day. How do we track that and make sure that we are eating within that surplus?
So there's plenty of apps nowadays. One of the most common apps that I like using myself personally is my fitness pal. If you don't want to use the app, take a diary, pen and paper, go old school. Try and monitor what you're eating. Every lick, every sip, every bite, every taste counts. So sometimes we commonly forget how many times we pass the kitchen, we've had 3 grapes, we have another 3 grapes, and another 3 grapes. By the end of the night, we might have had 15 to 18 grapes. Whereas in you kind of like offset it because it was 333, but in reality, you had quite a few grapes. Keeping a diary, you also become more aware of what you're putting in your mouth when, and are you hungry or do you just pass the kitchen or the grapes and just keep popping them in your mouth?
Now, when is it considered overweight and when is it considered obesity?
Okay, so ideally, everybody has a different body, right? Everybody has a different calorie intake. Everybody's activity levels are different. And I know we've touched on this a few times. Everybody's like, yeah, but Leila, you a trainer. That would mean
Mhm.
my calorie intake versus a sedentary person would be a bit different. Once you use an app like MyFitnessPal, it tells you based on your goals how much calories you should be eating per day. Ideally, for a typical female, and I refer to female because I specialize there, you should be eating between 1,200 to 1,600 calories per day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Once you're in those
So,
surpluses over time, that's
mhm,
when you start hitting those obesity levels.
mhm. So, with those calorie intakes, we also break it down, like you mentioned, with the surpluses. We know just um, diarize it and say, okay, this much of calories I have to eat, and basically have a whole calendar thing going on.
Correct. And the other thing that you want to be doing is it's very easy to hit those calorie counts per day. I mean, if you were to take one Snickers bar, I probably have maybe 500 calories versus 20 strawberries. You can't eat 20 strawberries in one go. So you rather
Mm,
look for healthier calories. You're still going to hit the calorie count. Everything has calories. The only 0 calorie thing I can think of is water and green tea. But having 20 strawberries over your 5 salars, call it your 5 times salar. You have, your 444 strawberries versus one Snickers bar in the morning for breakfast. You've already hit that count. So you always look for low calorie options that enables you to eat throughout the day. Like you said, if it's 5 small meals a day, you want to be eating low calorie. So by the end of the night, when you log it all down, you've still hit the calories in a better, healthier way.
mhm. And since nutrition plays a very important role, what are some good fats that we should include in our diets, and what are some bad fats that we should omit?
The good fats are your avocado oil, your avocados itself, oils in general. If you drizzle a little bit of salad dressing here and there, no problem. I mean, sometimes people opt for salad dressing and it's a nice little healthy fat. Healthy fat's also good for you. Your nuts, and it becomes complex when you start looking at macros and micros. A nut, whether it's a cashew or macadamian, counts as a protein, it counts as a fat, and it counts as a carb. So all three are in just literally one thing. You can't isolate your macros and your micros, but you try and eat as healthy as possible. So nuts, avocados, peanut butter, or well, any of your nut butters are the good fats.
And the bad fats?
The bad fats are all your deep fried, heavily fried stuff. So we're talking donuts, we're talking cook sisters, your packet of chips, pretty much the convenience foods. When you're out on the go and you're rushing and you want a snack, anything deep fried and a lot of your white sort of processed foods, your wires, your deep fried chips, your polonies, a lot of your processed stuff.
Mm, and all of those are so yummy, I mean, like, we've been making a lot of yummy foods during the lockdown, and many of those consisted of fried stuff. We made donuts, we made lots of bread, we made this and that. How are we going to manage this, Leila? What are you doing to us? Give us some alternatives of what we can do instead. Because I mean, we still want to enjoy those, but obviously now we also want to avoid reaching the obesity level and being overweight.
No, of course. One of the most important factors to also understand is we turn to carbs and the breads and the pizzas as a form of comfort. I think the hard lockdown was very harsh on all of us. It threw us into stress and anxiety. So food had become our comfort, and we tended towards this and that and whatever. I'm not saying cut everything down. You just now start making small changes. If you are having white bread, 2 slices of white bread. Now you have an open sandwich on a slice of brown bread or whole wheat bread or even sourdough bread, ciabattas. Um, one slice open sandwich, you stack it up higher with protein, some salads, avocado, some good fats, and every day you make a small change. You don't want to go cold turkey and not touch anything against because your body is now accustomed to after 60 odd days. I need some bread, I need some carbs. Each and every single day, you slowly take one thing out. So you start off taking the one slice of bread out. Then you start going on bunless burgers. And each day, you're just going to make small little incremental changes. And inshallah, it will take you there. Sugar would be a good thing to start cutting out, the breads and deep fried stuff. I know we're coming out of Ramadan, So those savories, those pies, those pastries, slowly just decrease them, decrease them.
Hmm. And when it comes to exercise, I heard somewhere that it takes 10 days to build your fitness and 10 days to lose your fitness. So obviously, if we've been sitting in front of the TV, lying down in bed with our phones, we have definitely lost our fitness levels. How can we get that back?
So you got to start again with a slow progression. If over the last month, even if it was just Ramadan or the last 2 months, you lost fitness week by week. Today you're at zero, which is not a bad thing. You just start picking it up. And the rule of thumb is you increase by 10% per week. So say hypothetically you do one session a week, then maybe you do a 30-minute session. Then you pick it up 35 minutes, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and then you increase your days and you increase your reps. You want to start off at the bottom of the chain again, one set, 8 reps. Then you pick it up, one set, 10 reps, one set, 12 reps. And then you go 2 sets, 8 reps. So you're literally just manipulating the numbers and the
Mhm.
intensity. You start off with a 2 kilo weight, pick it up to a 3, 4, and you'll get there. We still have the rest of 2020. Next 6 months, make it golden.
Mhm. Enver Peer would like to know about a diet plan for diabetics. What can diabetics do during the lockdown, and especially if they are overweight and trying to manage the weight and lose the weight?
If you're still currently in lockdown, one of the most important things, obviously, for the diabetics is to cut sugar out. And when I say sugar, I'm not talking about the actual sugar. It's everything that you drink. It's a lot of those breads, the pastas, the white flours, the white anything, the pastries, everything that we've been having, everything that's processed. Try and eat from the sunnah up, basically from the ground up. The freshest forms that you can do is your greens. If you can introduce a lot more greens per day, walking is very overrated. People should be walking more often. While you're in a lockdown, even if you can't do a lot of exercise and you're not fully motivated, try walking 20, 25, 30, 35 minutes. You build yourself up 10% per week. And if you're walking at least twice or thrice a week, I mean, it's even recommended by the Heart Foundation. That would be the best place to start while the gyms are still closed.
And well, we are in level 3 of the lockdown, which means that we can walk a lot more now than we could before. So I guess we should take that opportunity and start walking. Walk to the local shop, not buy anything, just walk there uh, and come back. And how long does it take for a person's body to become obese if the nutrition is poor?
Also, it depends on the activity level.
Hmm.
Um, the calorie surplus, how much in a surplus are you? Say if you are eating 100 calories extra or you are eating 1,000 calories extra. It's very difficult to quantify, but again, it's basic mathematics. Once you're in a surplus and that additional surplus, at the end of 30 days, if you had 100 extra calories, you can imagine, the numbers that are working in that.
Hmm. What is a low glycemic index, and how do we determine what foods are examples of low glycemic index that we should include in our diets?
So if you've been noticing a lot of food labeled, and I think it had come into a law, and I can't remember what date it came into a law. A lot of our labels now tell you straight up, no, they don't even hide it. I mean, even on your biscuits, trans fat free. And for a second, you're like, trans fat free, but it's a biscuit. They're just marketing it in a clever way. Your low glycemic stuff is pretty much, again, your healthier foods. It's like your barley and your wheats, your oats, those type of things. They keep you fuller for longer. It adds fiber to your diet, and it's a healthier version of the white processed foods. So when I said go whole wheat bread, go browns, and just start making small changes, it has a lesser content of sugar. Not to say it doesn't keep sugar, it still has, but it has a lesser sugar. And then obviously the way you prepare and you make your stuff.
Hmm. Now, would you say that it's best to make your own bread at home, whether it's white or brown, or because we know that if it comes from the shop, it's been processed and it has a whole lot of other ingredients. But at home, you obviously know what's going on, what you're adding in. So, would your white bread at home be considered healthier? Can you still go ahead and eat that, or should we just omit that and get whole wheat bread?
I'm a fan of meal prepping and eating your own food all the time. I feel there's so much more burkat. You can control the ingredients and you get to choose what ingredients. The problem with the white bread, and I come back to white bread, whether it's bread or pizza or bagels or cake, you're still making it with the same basic ingredient, white flour that's been refined. So whether it's a Sesco brand or I don't know what other brand, it's still the same bottom concept. When you notice the high fiber and the germ wheat, it has that fiber content. Ideally, the best is always to try and stay away from the breads because there's a sugar content. You get different alternatives. I know in Ramadan, I saw quite a few people using chickpeas and chickpea flour. So the origin of a chickpea flour is obviously from the chickpeas, which is the healthier version of a brown bread. And people are just playing with the different elements.
Mm-hmm. It takes me back to banting and how when you banting, then you use a whole lot of other ingredients which are not white flour, which are not flour per se, but there are other alternatives in order to make bread if you still love having bread. All right, so thank you so much for your time, Sister Leila, and for joining me once again. And hopefully, we will take the advice that you've given us and implement it in our lives so as to not fall into the trap of obesity going forward. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome, Sam. Jazakallah for having me.
Leila Tayyab, a fitness trainer, giving us some tips and advice on how to stay healthy during the lockdown. It is post Ramadan, and we still are trying and fighting. We want to get to our healthy stage, the stage that we were in before the lockdown started, because we used to walk a lot. We used to do a lot of exercises because gyms were open. It was fun running on the streets. It was fun taking a walk. I know I used to cover like almost 6,000 steps every day, and now it's gone down to like less than 1,000. I'm so disappointed in myself, but now from next week, I'm starting. No, no no's. I'm starting next week, inshallah. So if you have any comments, queries, questions, or suggestions, you can leave them in the comment section below, or you can send them to us on WhatsApp on 061 But for now, it is 11:56. You are listening to the Mara Mukwanda Show, and we will be back after the break.